Welcome back, everybody, to UPL. Sorry for the slight late start, but we've got a wonderful set of games for you today. My name's Infernos, joined here by Fellow. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. It's glad to be back. Commentating's been a little while for myself, especially here on Upsurge every Tuesday now, and got a great lineup for match number 1 and then 2, Emergence versus Prevail, and then game number 2, around 7 or so, will be Toys versus X13. So since we are a little bit short on time, I think we'll just hop right into the map bans, go see that being displayed out live right front and center, and then for that, talk about it a little bit. I think we want to see who exactly is going to win and then get into the game, since we are a little bit behind, like you mentioned.
Yeah, and of course, the map bans are going to be very interesting to see what we go through, like what's going to be taken out, what these teams kind of prefer. We can jump on over to that. I'm really looking forward to this Emergence versus Prevail match. There's a lot that's going to have to go down. Of course, you're going to ban through everything because it is a best of one here. So first ban to come through, it's going to be Prevail's pick. They don't want to play Cafe. I'm automatically rooting for Prevail. Just saying it first and foremost. I mean, that's just that's an immediate choice. I hate Cafe. They're right there with me. Second one to come through, Consulate. So it's the mirror maps that really go out first. You'll see Villa taken out again by Prevail. Both these teams seem to prefer a smaller map, because these 3 maps already banned at the start are pretty massive here, John.
These are also maps that get played a lot, at least Cafe. I wouldn't say the same about Consulate. Same goes for Villa. So maybe we'll see something like Clubhouse ban as well, perhaps. That wouldn't entirely shock me just because of that. Maybe we'll actually see Chalet possibly into play. I could be completely wrong. Coastline, though, that's going to be our 4th ban of this evening. You don't see that one all the time, especially on best of ones. And even with best of 3s, for example, it's still banned quite often. A lot of teams just don't like that aggressiveness. Coastline is really one of a kind for a map, at least the only exception being Chalet, but that was recently added. So I'd still say Coastline is the most aggressive favorited map, and the second most aggressive map is Chalet, and that's going to be banned as well. So we're not going to see it.
Well, it's Emergence's choice. I guess the same thing. These last 2 we're guaranteed to see Clubhouse, or we're guaranteed to see Oregon. So will we see Borgen rear its head, or we're going to be seeing Clubhouse, the basement simulator, come through instead? It's going to be Clubhouse. So a very interesting map lineup. Oregon taking out Emergence, not wanting to deal with it. And Clubhouse, another standardized map. You're going to see the same basic lineups for most things. We're going to see Prevail starting off on the attack and Emergence with the defense. So Emergence, they got to choose, technically speaking, the last 2. And now they get to start on the preferred side of defense, so they get to kind of give themselves a lead. But I don't think Prevail is going to let them have that for too long. Anyone that's come so far into this, having to go through so many qualifiers, they're a good team, and they definitely have their work cut out for them. But we'll head right into the game real quick. We're ready to start this one up, ready to go right into Clubhouse. I'm really excited here, John. This is going to be a phenomenal, phenomenal match. I'm really excited. We weren't here the last week, maybe not even the week before that, but we were here in the opening week for the qualifiers, and we enjoyed every single moment of this. So I'm looking forward to enjoying more and more of it as it goes on, and what a great way to start off. Emergence versus Prevail. Let's jump right into it.
We got to even name who was going to make the cut or not for the 6th pick as well. But yeah, we'll be hopping into the game in just a moment. And speaking of map bans, I want to move forward now to the operator bans as well. I wonder how that's going to turn out, to be honest, because we could see something incredibly normal, or maybe the exact opposite of that, perhaps. The ban phase for the maps look pretty straightforward, and I feel like, at least for the operator bans, it's going to be the same thing, but every now and again, or pretty much all the time, I am wrong, so this might be one of those times as well.
Well, I mean, all right. So, John, go-to bans here for Clubhouse. Hibana's a really big one if teams just don't want to have to deal with the impact tricking that comes through. You can still need to impact trick out that basement hatch, but banning out Hibana just makes it easier. Thatcher being banned out, none too shocking. You'll see Thatchers be let through on Clubhouse occasionally, just because some people prefer to ban out Hibana and kind of leave it up for grabs, because no one really Electroclaws or plays that much. Besides, maybe Master Bedroom, but it's none too likely. But the ban does come through. Hibana will be taken out. Prevail saying, okay, we don't want to deal with that on our side. We won't let you deal with that on your side. So instead, we'll go this direction. They're going to have their defensive pick first. Kaid is likely because Maverick is no longer in play, but the standardized pick of Mira, none too shocking. We may have a Maestro ban as well, just because that Alda is so difficult to deal with down in the basement.
You mentioned Maverick's not in play right now?
No, because Maverick's in play right now.
Yeah, It's been a long time. I haven't been on Rainbow. I didn't know if there was some new glitch found out by Maverick. I know there was one quite a while back where you could Maverick trick walls incredibly quickly. I was like, that popped its head out again. But speaking of intel operators, like you mentioned, it's not going to be Maestro, but VALKYRIE instead. Still an incredibly strong operator, though. And I'm actually surprised that Kai didn't get banned because of what you mentioned about Maverick. That's the main way to have it, or at least deny hatches, because you can Maverick trick most of the walls, like the platform wall, without having to worry about a kite for the most part, as long as you have a stop destructor with you, like we're seeing almost immediately the Ash and Sledge pick and a Zofia. But yeah, I'm still surprised we're not seeing any Kaid. So getting those hatches opened up is going to be incredibly difficult for Prevail on this first half. And in the second half, it'll be the exact same story, most likely, for Emergence.
Absolutely. We're going to see Bandit come out, and for Emergence, that's probably a good decision initially. But that CCTV room, it's not that big of a focus to kind of hard breach that out. I mean, there's really no need to. A Mute Jammer does the same thing. You're not going to keep it there for too long. They can play below. They can play at Maverick. You didn't ban that out. So it's none too shocking to see they're going to 6th pick off and go with the Goyo instead. Talon opting to bring the Vulcan shields and I guess remove any opportunities for the attackers to kind of take up an angle in some of these tighter hallways or tighter corridors. But it's going to be a troublesome situation nonetheless. Prevail are going to have to play around a lot of this Emergent squad. You've got the Kaid. That's Kaid tricking the Electric Claw tricks inside of Garage, more than likely up on rafters. That makes pushing inside exceedingly difficult. So you're going to have to see Joe not just clear out and get this eastern suburb as a Maverick to Maverick trick out that wall of CCTV, but also to rotate around and put a hole inside of those garage walls, because those Electric Claws are going to be punishing, and there's really nothing that this attacking side of Prevail can do against that besides maybe getting a lucky pick early on in the round.
They have to get Rafters control if they want to break those Electric Claws and then get the garage wall, but the garage wall being opened up is incredibly helpful when getting Iris control, so you don't really need it once you already have that map control. So the best option for Prevail, probably get that platform wall opened up and then instantly just rotate on in towards construction. Don't even worry about rafters, but that's kind of playing into Emergence's hand. I don't know if you were able to observe it at all, chat, in the prep phase, but we could get a slight glimpse that we saw those shotgun holes being made near the cache wall leading into construction room. So we did see a mild extension coming out for Emergence. So their setup right now for this first round is pretty impressive. Everything just works out. They're all doing their part just right. And at the moment, Prevail only now has been able to get that back wall opened up, and I think Rush has used all 3 of his Selmas, so it's going to be all up to Maverick to start getting that hard destruction across the ways near construction. Talon will pick up the headshot onto Joe. He'll get downed, and Rai gets injured as well from, I'm not even too sure where. It must have been the long angle all the way from platform wall, but luckily the revive will come out on at least Talon. Rai could possibly get picked up as well, so a decent start for Emergence. They still have that man advantage, but at a decent cost now, because both Rai and Talon are put on very low HP, and Rai is still injured right now.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, right there, Rush, you should have just straight taken that shot, and that's exactly what happened. Talon needed to go for the revive. No chance to be downed, but not outed twice, and Rush will be able to clean up yet another kill. It looks to be that Rai will just be forced to be bled out on top of this Raptor side. Exist will come up and show their existence and find the kill instead. But with only a minute and 20 seconds left, you're going to 3v4. Rush has a great sightline from that eastern suburb, now repelling and has an opportunity to deny any plant placements that may come through. But Glyph is below, playing as a buck. Could be very dangerous for this cash room hold, as Cool is getting the floorboards out from underneath them, just devastated. They're trying to get a shot from below. It's not really working out. Instead, it goes in both directions. And this is a very, very dangerous fight for both sides. If either one loses here, it could send it into a very devastating end of the round. But Momo will begin the plant, will fake it at first, as a Nitrocell will be tossed. This one does not connect enough. Glyph finds the kill from below into Shax. They attempted to come up and chase them, but it doesn't seem to matter. Momo finds Cool Shiesty, and now the last player left, the Son of Finn, can only get a couple more pills, finds one, but can't find the second. It's going to be over as Rush will lead the team of Prevail to a round 1 victory.
Amazing work done by Prevail. They didn't take my advice. They still went for Raptors control, and because they had that long angle on the platform wall, it worked out pretty well. They were able to get an injure onto both Talon, and then also, I believe that was the Kaid player of Rai all the way in the back. It was a great job by them, and then they basically had complete coverage. The vertical play coming out as well by Glyph, that was incredibly strong. It just looked like Emergence was uncomfortable in that position, and Prevail really worked that in their favor. It was a 4-on-1. it's really difficult to win those kind of situations. So amazing job by Prevail once more. And we're not going to see Emergence reattempt CCTV and Cash Room. They'll instead go lower into the map. They'll head in towards Church and Arsenal with a very similar lineup. No Malusi on the board, but there is that Maestro in play now, and also Omai on the board, but they still have that Kaid for the hatches that I was kind of rambling on about earlier in towards that operator ban phase and also beginning of that first round. So still a very helpful lineup for this defensive hold.
Now, John, when it comes to a Maestro defending down here in the basement, holding this B site is super easy. There's a reason why they increased the size of the secondary box, the northernmost box stack. They increased the height of it because it was so easy for Maestros to just take full control of site, take full control of tunnel without ever having to leave behind the second, or should I say the southernmost box. And it became so difficult for teams to get past that Maestro became a ban that shouldn't have been happening, because Maestro belongs in most setups for Clubhouse. I think Maestro is pretty predominant when it comes to holding CCTV room and cash room, just sit him in cash room and play straight. Obviously down here on this basement objective, just sitting pretty and holding straight. You can see it as well in tertiary objective and master bedroom. It's a little less likely, I would say, but still pretty predominant. You can see the presence somewhat substantially to hold onto the central staircase, but having a Maestro be banned because they're just so strong on one single objective individually, it did indeed deserve the nerf, and that's exactly what we did see happen. But ultimately, it's going to come down to whether or not Prevail can kind of get past this. Maestro's still strong. Maestro still has sightlines. Maestro doesn't have a very large scope anymore in the Alda, but Maestro still has the Alda itself, and it does make it extremely difficult for the side of Prevail to step in and find themselves a safe or substantial foothold to actually progress into the objective.
Prevail clearing out the top floor. There wasn't that much of a rogue presence, if any. We are seeing a 5-man anchor setup, as a matter of fact. So no upward presence just yet by Emergence, and Momo just hops all the way down main stairwell and picks up the kill onto Son of Finn. Cool Shiesty, though, will get a trade with that Nitro Cell onto your main Soft Destructor of Buck. Down goes Glip. So things evened on up, and the impact trick coming out by Arai as well. He has one more left in his back pocket. It will be successful, so pretty great stall so far by Emergence. They've managed to waste the first half minute of the round so far, and only now has that kitchen hatch been opened up. It's still great, though, for Prevail. They now have plenty of sightlines via both the vertical play and that hatch being opened up, and they're trying to make something happen in towards Moto as well. So they could eventually end up collapsing in from that back part of the map, and as long as they win their gunfights, they should be in tip-top shape. But with those operators like Rai on the Maestro, that Alda is such a menace against any player. All that Emergence really has to do is just wait and play their cards right. As long as Talon as well can also deny this secret stairwell push, this should be a pretty decent setup by Emergence, having both the man advantage and only having to worry about one or two separate pushes coming out by Prevail.
Yeah, and when Shax is able to find a very nice Nitro Cell kill from inside a church, that just sets them up even further for success. They fail to hold CCTV, but Prevail is failing to attack down into this basement. They've put a little bit of a focus, I guess you could say, towards this central stairs, but as of the current moment, I don't think Prevail is going to be able to prevail out in this round. They need to find not just one, but two picks before I think they have a very nice chance of safely stepping inward, but once again, Talon holding secret. Joe is attempting to step downward, but this could be a single player to just step around, exists on the other side. Joe getting aggressive here, swings and does actually find the kill, securing a position. Fragged back, but Rush is able to find Cool Shiesty instead. Talon was taken out from that pocket corner. Joe may be down, but it doesn't seem to matter. Shax finds one into exist, and now it's Rush. They're forced to plant with only 5 seconds left, no time. They can hop up and play this. They try to, but it's not going to be enough. Shax finds the kill, and it'll be the player downed as well that gets secured. A phenomenal round attempted by Prevail as they attempted to make the prevailing outcome into their favor, but it did not happen. The last 30 seconds not kind to them, and Emergence will come out victorious.
They just played so passive that round, and it worked out well for them. They ended up winning, of course, but Prevail wasted a little bit too much time when it came to that top floor extension. If you don't see any presence up there whatsoever, then just try to make it a habit of just immediately working your way into the middle floor, trying to get that kitchen vertical play and also the hatch opened up. they had a minute and 30 to work with, which is okay, but if you don't have a significant man advantage with that little of time, then it's going to get rough, because then Emergence, they're expecting the slight variations with the pushes. We had a guy watching Secret that entire round, basically, and he may have lost the fight, but he wasted so much time that Maverick couldn't get another kill afterwards, so he got traded out instantly, and because Emergence still had that man advantage, there was no one to watch the plant. It was basically a free 2k for Chax, so Emergence ended up winning that round just simply because of the fact that they weren't at a disadvantage that entire round, and they just played so conservatively that Prevail just couldn't really do anything exactly except just walk right into their hand. But hopefully we could see another redemption for Prevail possibly. We're going back to CCTV and pardon Cash. I almost said Kitchen, I don't know why, but luckily I didn't make that mistake.
Let's get a barn stock
this was
next.
I like that idea. That is a really good idea, but this site was won by Prevail, so maybe they'll have a little bit of luck.
No, I have to agree with you, John. Jack's holding strongest side Church was basically everything that Emergence needed. They weren't behind, but yet Prevail just came out fragging in every single corner and just one player catching them off guard. This doesn't necessarily bode well for Emergence, though. I mean, in all honesty, in a round where they were up by 4 and then it comes down to a 1v1 at the end, that doesn't look that great. And the fact that you had to rely on a player that was playing in a bit of a cheeky position to get it done, that is a part of the game, and that is how it is played, but you don't want to have to rely on that. You don't want it to be the only way that you win the round, and unfortunately it did seem to be that way, but we're going back to an objective that Emergence kind of failed on. And you and I are both of the same opinion. We should never play the same objective twice. Obviously, you can't do it when you win, but when you lose, you should never play the same objective twice because it breeds complacency, and good on Emergence for stepping away from it. Then now stepping back, nothing too shocking here, winning on the main 2-line objectives. They need to do it back-to-back to be able to head to the tertiary, but with Prevail having a dominant reign the first time around, Emergence is going to have to change a lot, and I mean a lot, if they want any chance of winning this round, especially so when it comes to this Raptors hold, because Rai and Talon were just devastated the last time we saw this in round 1.
They're going to have to expect that wall being opened up almost any second now. Both Maverick of Joe and also Exist on the Zofia are just waiting to get that opened up, and there is cool Shiesty underneath, of course, right near Secret, but he's going to have to rotate on around. He's not going to try to push his luck too much. Gun engagement does occur, but Exist barely manages to stay alive, and cool Shiesty can't go in towards stock either because there's someone of Joe watching it, but Talon wins the fight up against him. There goes your grenades, and also your hard breach player of Joe, but there is still Thermite on the board of Rush, of course, so it's not the end of the world, but again, that entry favoring Emergence now, and we're seeing this slow trickle effect coming in by Prevail. They need to find some type of refrag in this last minute, or Emergence basically has this round secured. That's not how you do it, though. Talon picks up one. Exist luckily finds some type of refrag up against Emergence, but they already reclaimed that man advantage early on. Now in this 4-on-3, 40 seconds left. Momo picks up one. Now only 45 seconds, but at least things are evened on up as he tries to work his way in towards sight. Rai with a devastating angle, so he can't entirely go up against him, but time is still heavily favoring Emergence in this position. They just have to hold out for a little while longer, and there is not that many options left for Prevail, but all of a sudden they win all their gunfights, and now Son of Finn's in a 1 versus 3. He has multiple angles to look out for, but he could still have this. He only has to worry about Momo at the current moment here. He works his way around and towards the top of red doorway. Exists with a concussive blast that's going to upset Son of Finn for a little while, but luckily Zophia's on incredibly low HP, but Momo is going to win that gunfight regardless. Son of Finn not going to get lucky enough. Prevail taking their second round and still doing an amazing job on this attacking side towards CCTV.
We have seen Emergence fail to finish. I think that's kind of what it is. They're failing to finish. They take the lead early on, they put themselves in substantial positioning, and then they just can't finish the round. They can't finish off in any substantial level of success, and it's punishing. It's demoralizing, I guess is another term for it. So much so that Emergence, once again, not picking that objective. I wouldn't be shocked if they now view that as a tertiary objective. I don't want to see them go back to that. They've now lost that twice in pretty one-sided affairs, where it came down to a point where they had the lead by 2, lost it, and then lost the round. That just hurts morally, mentally, and also physically inside of the game. You're now down another round. You gotta hope that this gym and bedroom side can kind of be an answer for you. They're bringing out the Vulcan Shield again on Talon. This would be a great way to cut sightlines as well as gain a little bit of extra security to clear that out when necessary. They're bringing the Maestro. I talked about this previously. Maestro is exceedingly strong when it comes to this, but Jax on it will be an interesting choice to see where they're going to set the Evil Eyes. Obviously, one above bed in Master Bedroom. The second one probably placed over in Cash or maybe inside a CCTV. You're going to see an off-site presence hold, an extended hold over towards Cash Room, and that's going to be nothing too shocking. But Prevail, we could just see them spawn on west side, go Jacuzzi, and sweep site. We could see them spawn south side, stead to the southern subroof, and then sweep in through gym window. But a frost mat will make things a little bit harder for them, and maybe a rush strat is kind of playing against them because Emergence have kind of tried to play against it themselves.
It makes those window hop-ins a little bit more tricky because you don't fully know if there's going to be a frost mat there waiting for you to bite off your ankles, and if it's in the last couple seconds of the round where we've seen Prevail just really crank that gas pedal all the way down to the floor, it would probably not help them. If there's someone alive on Emergence, they could of course peek that exact same window, and then either Ash kills you, or someone, for example, like the Ash kills you and then gets frost matted, or gets frostmat and doesn't kill you. You can't be looking at two different places at the exact same time, but we'll move on to that later on, of course. We're not seeing any window pushes just yet. We're mostly just seeing that very common CCTV push trying to deny this cash room extension, but surprisingly, no one's sitting inside of cash. I'm not too sure why Emergence has opted for that. Maybe because they have someone playing close in towards that construction doorway instead, behind that deployable shield. I'm not too sure if it's a Vulcan or not, so maybe that could be why, forcing Emergence, or pardon, Prevail, sorry, to get really uncomfortable inside of cash, then use a hard breach on that sidewall between the two areas of construction and also cash, and then that could heavily favor the Maestro, who's already sitting back there, but he's going to immediately die due to rush via the Selma wall, so there goes that entire strategy basically down the drain unless someone takes Jax's spot.
Yeah, difficult position to be in. Of course, you've got a secret stash position of Ryan, who's holding inside of hallway, has to be wary from behind. Finn has an angle to maybe contest, but the Nitro Cell not connecting makes it very difficult for you to really feel it's worth to hold that anymore. And in fact, they will rotate away, and now you're not going to have a very advantageous line of fire to be able to clear anyone that's stepping in from Jacuzzi Wall, and that's exactly what Prevail's going for right now. They've got a player on Southern Subroof. They've got a couple players kind of peeking over and attempting to go towards construction side, but you've lost Jax if you are Emergence. You don't really have that information as much as you would want it to have. You don't have the Alda. You don't got a massive LMG. You've lost your top fragger as well. That's going to be devastating to try and deal with, but they've got information. They've got utility. They've got positional advantages. Talon right now from below. If the Frostmat is stepped on at this point in time, not only will they have to deal with that, but they'll also have to deal with Talon, who's got the Vector, got the line of sight, and has the ability to deny it. But a nice Vulcan shield clear from Momo takes cool Shiesty. Talon's toss does find success into Momo, and Rai finds one with a 9mm back into Joe. Glyph finds one with a butt kill, but gets a second as well as Talon steps up from Central Stairs. It does not seem to matter. Now it's just Finn left in a 1v3. Emergence has done this time and time again. Can this one come out on top? They see the line of fire from behind the shield, behind the master bed, but they can't seem to get beyond it. Now stepping back towards Logi, wanting to step forward. Not much to be had in terms of line of sight. They'll clear out the Vulcan shield, buying time. Fire is aplenty, but this diffuser planted inside a gym is going to be nigh impossible for Finn to play against. He finds a nice long shot from over in Logi from behind construction boxes, trying to step upwards, cannot get the shot off in time, and Exist will be there instead. Prevail will take round 4.
I'm impressed by how well Prevail is performing right now. They have shown so much aggression. It's just worked out for them beautifully. We saw a construction extension rather than a cash extension, which can work, but Rush didn't really care about the extension. He found the entry onto Chax. There goes your Maestro. So much active utility, and then no one really stepped up to take his place. It was basically free map control for Prevail, and then they just rotated that on out somewhere else and just dogpiled their way up against Emergence in a 4-on-3. I mean, it was basically secured there by Prevail, and then there wasn't really much that Emergence could do in that position. So again, another spectacular performance by them. It appears that only Church and Arsenal is their weak spot, but sadly for them, we're going to have to go back to that bomb site. A slightly different lineup, but it's still going to probably be very anchor favorited. There is no Mutant Mozzie. I will doubt that we will see any type of extension whatsoever by Emergence, but in the same hand, I don't really blame them. This 5-man anchor strategy really worked out perfectly for them. They didn't lose any people early off the bat unless they were able to refrag. We did see that one kill by Momo towards the back main stairwell, but it was traded out by a Nitro Cell, so it didn't really matter. There wasn't much that Prevail could really do, but the problem is if they know that there's no extension coming out, they're not going to waste as much time as they did beforehand, so that could also give them a great advantage for this 5th round as well.
Yeah, it came down to a 3v1, and Emergence was able to bring it back because of Chax, and that's really what it came down to, that cheeky positioning inside of Church, where they just sit behind small bar table and just devastate anyone stepping forward. Prevail falling into that devastating, or should I say, scary 30-second meta in terms of pushing inward. It kind of kick them in the rear, I guess is the term I want to say. When you play the 30-second meta, it's totally fine. If you want to play the 30-second meta, go for it. 45-second push, whatever you want to do, play your own style. But the issue becomes, if you do that 30-second meta in the last 30 seconds, then it becomes a problem because you have no wiggle room and you have no room to make mistakes. Instead, buy yourself a minute and then do the last 30-second meta in the last half of that 30 seconds and find yourself success. But Talon on a nice swing coming out from utility finds Exist as they attempted to step down Secret. Not a chance. That was going to fly, and now Prevail with a man disadvantage. Emergence starting off strong, but now Joe's in a bit of a firefight, and Momo is as well. They're looking to try and play this one back. Rai down from, I believe, Momo shots. But I think Cool Shice do have plenty of room to pick that one back up, but that might just be kitchen hatch because there was no time for them to toss that impact nades to deny that.
This is a pretty decent position for Prevail. Other than their loss of a player early on towards Secret, they're getting that vertical play that I've mentioned time and time again, along with Scott has, and we're beginning to see at least an attempt coming out for Hard Destruction, I believe it to be. Joe's been working on that Moto hatch, and eventually, hopefully, Rush tries to go for the Selmas on the kitchen hatch. If not, maybe he'll try to work his way around in towards maybe the triple wall inside of Church. Maybe they'll go for that type of execute. There's still plenty of time to decide that, but the more and more time that Emergence does waste, Prevail will waste, it's going to heavily favor Emergence right now. But luckily, speaking of Prevail, Glip will find one refrag on Rai, the previously down Maestro player, not Rai, and things still looking relatively decent for Emergence, though. As long as they just wait for this funnel to come on out, they're well aware that Prevail is very limited on options, but Cool Shiesty isn't going to spot out Momo. Luckily, though, Chax is there to find a refrag. That could have been devastating, but the Secret push is just as devastating as Joe picks up one on a Talon. 3-on-2 now. Prevail reclaims that man advantage, and Rush is just in the middle of sight. That Toxic Babe will choke him out for a little while, but he can reposition, trying to go for the plant in the very back of sight. Son of Finn picks up one, though, near AK, now bringing things to a 2-on-1. Chax finds one from the long angle. It's just up to Glip. He has to hop down the hatch, and he can't do it in time. Son of Finn shuts him down, and Emergence somehow bring things back, completely denying the execute and doing another amazing defensive hold on this basement bomb site.
What a great way to end that one off for Emergence. Now they're going to have one more round to completely end off this half, but when you're down on defense on a typically defensive-sided map, that one can kind of be contested. Some people will say it can be attacker-sided. I think Clubhouse was the more fair maps, I guess, across the board. But being down a round and possibly even 2 rounds going into your attacking half, Prevail have looked good. They've looked really good. And I've got so many puns I want to do. They're prevailed over their opposition, but I can also say Emergence comes out or emerges victorious. I got puns I want to say. These teams are great for their team names here, John. I got so much stuff I could bring out, but that last round is exactly what we saw previously from Emergence, except they were able to keep 2 alive. And look at the difference that they were able to have with 2 players alive to clutch up instead of just Jax. It's a much cleaner finish. They had the long shot sitting behind Arsenal's side of cabinets. They, of course, had one player by Church, Chax, holding the long shot angle. And Chax has been so good, so consistent with that AUG in the hands of Kaid that I would be shocked not to continue to see that. Instead, they're going to be picking up the Malusi, trying to play probably from below or near that red stairs, playing from corner pocket stairs. But Emergence, this is the objective. I said, I don't want to see you play again. I really don't. You have just gotten absolutely stomped on, thrashed, devastated, ripped apart, I mean, annihilated. I can come up with a billion words to describe how much Prevail has been just outplaying you when it comes to CCTV or in Cash Room. I think you should have played the tertiary objective of Jim and Bedroom again. I think that would have been a bit of a smarter choice because I felt like that one could have used 1 or 2 small changes to make a difference, and I think you need 6 or 7 changes to make a difference for this one.
To give devil's advocate, though, for Emergence, because I think you're right about Gym and Bedroom, but at least Emergency is trying to spice things up, or Emergence, not Emergency. They have a very roam-heavy kind of defense. Talon is just in the middle of nowhere right now, and Son of Fin isn't that far behind him either. We're kind of seeing this heavy denial of master control that way that after platform wall gets opened up, Prevail basically has to go in towards Raptors unless they want to go up against a gigantic gauntlet against Emergence right now. So that's probably what we're going to be anticipating unless Prevail doesn't drone this out properly. But even if they do, there's of course Talon, whose gadget is to literally just deny those drones. But Momo underneath picks up the entry for Prevail. Another strong start when attacking this bomb site. They've already won the first 2 times it was brought, and it could simply be a third based off of how well they're already positioned at the current moment. They had that platform wall opened up pretty quickly the first minute or so into the round, and an entry onto Son of Fin, a great operator that can be utilized a lot more when the rounds get later and later and later, but now he can't really use any more of his goo mines, and in a matter of moments, we're gonna see this Raptors push coming out, drone work already spotting out Rai again, Scott. It's really only a matter of time before he gets flushed out, and it'll be a devastating execute coming up by Prevail.
Now, John, I think you agree with me here, but basically all substantial pushes that come through for this start with this garage side. And you can see the eastern suburb, but it's garage that really guarantees everything. You've already seen the fight go down. Shax was taken out. You see another one fall as well as Rush finds Cool Shiesty. There's only one refrag to go through, but Talon gets a nice shot, but it doesn't seem to matter. Momo on the refrag. Right back in Emergence are going to be facing a 2-round deficit going into their attacking half. This does not necessarily bode well. Prevail are looking spectacular, and they're continuing to try and clean this one up. They have the 2-round lead. They don't need that much more to take this one, but with them getting to play the defense, getting to sit and anchor and play their own strategies, Emergence will have to spice things up more than they initially anticipated.
We're going to have to see that exact same aggression come out by Emergence that we just saw by Prevail on one of the most defender favorited bomb sites. Prevail mopped the floor against Emergence. That last round was a complete bloodbath. They found the entry around Bar onto Son of Fin, and then they just converted all that manpower in towards Raptors. Rai, no matter how good of a player you can be, you just cannot outgun 3 separate people at the exact same time. It's almost impossible to do that, and I mean, it was true because he lost his fight almost immediately, and then Prevail had complete control of Garage. Then they had also the platform area as well. Literally, the B bomb site had their name written all over it. It was only a matter of time before they could have gone for that plant. But they didn't even need to. They just won based off of eliminations, but it's completely fine. Now Prevail, though, on the defensive side as well, they're at a great disadvantage, or great advantage. I don't know why I said disadvantage, but Emergence is on a great disadvantage right now. And like I just said, they're going to have to show that exact same aggression, but Prevail would probably be very well aware of that, to be honest with you, Scott. So I'm not too sure. Maybe Emergence might just end up losing this entirely.
It's definitely a possibility. You don't like to say that or see that when a team is down by 2 at half, and especially for a map that's typically defensive sided. It pains, I guess is the term. And Emergence had such a spectacular qualifier session. I was really excited to see what they're bringing to the table, and this has been a phenomenal game. Emergence's round wins looked good. They didn't necessarily look good in terms of, I guess, fairness. I mean, they didn't win it by any standout means, but they were spectacular round victories. Good clutches, 3v2 at one point in time, a 1v3 at another point. I mean, it definitely boded well for them, but this attack is not. Rush finds a Nitro Cell kill immediately into Finn, and Finn's going to have to wave that Finn goodbye, looking a little bit more like Finding Nemo with that small Finn instead of looking like a big Finn, but this is a bad situation to be in. You've lost your Maverick. You have no ability to Maverick trick out that wall now, and instead you're going to have to rely on Cool Shiesty to do it instead, but Cool Shiesty is not necessarily there, and instead you're going to be seeing Prevail trying to have a little bit of an off-site presence. They typically are putting most of their focus on the first floor and, of course, on that Raptor side, but I mean, Emergence have cleared the second floor entirely from the west side, and it looks to be a construction-sided focus.
But that's the only place they're coming from. They need to have at least somebody near platform or maybe trying to get Raptors opened up. It just seems really off-putting that everyone is working their way in towards construction room from master bedroom. And there was one player up near the balcony, but he'll get team killed by Chax. That's not what you want to have happen. Just like that, it's a 5-on-3. He types my B in the chat, but I don't think that's enough compensation, my friend Chax. That was not the play. And now your team is down even more in a 5-on-3, almost a 5-on-2. Rai takes a big chunk of damage from that Nitro Cell, but luckily he'll live to tell the tale. But there's only a minute left on the clock. We're going to have to see a funnel come out by Emergence, and they're already down by 2 players. This could just collapse onto them almost immediately. The Toxic Babes come out as well, just slowing them down. It's going to make this execute so sloppy that this will heavily favor Prevail as long as they just keep playing back. And they're doing just that. Glyph picks up one on a Chax, now a 5v2. Even worse in this position, Cool Shicey now has to be on the top balcony area, trying to at least find some type of pick. He'll hold down a deep angle near red, not getting a single sight line gathered just yet. And Joe shuts down Rai. It's all up to Cool Shicey, and he'll meet his maker via the SMG-11 held by Joe. It's nowhere near close to a victory for Emergence. It's a slaughterhouse right now for Prevail as they take their 5th round.
Different team.
I know it's a different team. It's just a slaughter. It's like we're inside of a slaughterhouse. They're getting butchered like pigs. They're getting butchered like pigs, Scott.
John, this is not looking hot right now for Emergence. Prevail, they look great. They if you go into your first defensive round and an objective that Emergence tried 3 times and lost 3 times, and you win it first try, and not just winning it first try, John, you win it first try
flawlessly.
In a flawless victory, flawless. Yes. And not just like, oh, we killed them all and we didn't die. No, I don't think they took any damage whatsoever. Every kill was just a shocker, was just unprecedented, out of nowhere, cheeky angles. It was the Chax angle of Church just used against them in every other possible angle imaginable. I mean, Prevail, they looked great, and they're continuing to look great. Now we're going to see them put this downstairs presence, this basement hold. We're going to see whether or not a castle will really play as much of a emphasis as they may have initially wanted. I think a big purpose of bringing a castle is not just for the castle barricades, but also for the super shorty that comes in pocket. Hashtag bring the shorty back on Mozzie. Just saying, I want it back. Can we all email Ubisoft for your daily Mozzie re-bring back shotgun email? I thank you very much. But a second floor presence from Prevail could be devastating, because if they just takes a couple sight lines and continue to have these roamers play successfully in these cheeky angles, Emergence is just going to be walking into, and there's no real nice way to phrase this, a death trap, a slaughterhouse, a mouse trap of sorts. I mean, they're falling into the clutches of Prevail, and it's not going to bode well for them if they can't manage to find some picks.
Especially against a very assertive extension, this is just built to waste so much time by Emergence, and we already saw what happens when Emergence is low on time and slight loss of player count. They just fold. They fumble against all the pressure, and they get thrown to the ground. It's easy peasy for Prevail, apparently. So a defensive setup like this for Prevail is the best option, which is why I'm surprised they're not bringing it, and especially when they win all their gunfights, apparently, because Joe finds the entry on a Talon right off the bat, and Rush picks up one up above as well. No way, Prevail. It's already a 5-on-3. This is what I was worrying about for Emergence, and they've fallen right into the mousetrap. They went for the cheese strats, and it's just not working. Rush is above. You're not clearing out above against an extension. That's the worst way to approach this Emergence, and because of that, you're already down in a 5-on-2.
Oh, this is painful to watch. I mean, it hurts, to say the least. I mean, Emergence, they're doing exactly what we said they would. They're walking into the trap. They're walking into the mousetrap. You don't need a Frost to play a trap. You really don't. You don't need a Frost to have that level of trap inside of your route. Instead, just play like Prevail. Every single angle possible for cheeky holds, like that second floor, like playing Crossfire behind bar, they're using it. They're putting it to great advantage. Look at Finn right now. He can't decide where to go. No clue where they need to step forward. I mean, you've got a castle barricade right next to you, barricade next to you, and pool table. You're having to jump back out of the south side. You wanted to go through the barricade that was near bathrooms that was separating you from stairs, but you're not going to use it. Instead, Rush is actually going to use, I believe, an impact to try and clear out. No, maybe it was Finn using an aid to clear out that barricade, and now Rush is in another position to maybe catch a player off guard. But Defuser down in kitchen, and no real way to pick that one up except having to flank all the way back around and not given the chance to do so. This does not look good. Momo with a nice long shot with the Roni, finding the last, and it's just Finn. They need to get this kill, and quite frankly, if this is 2 flawless rounds back to back, oh, it's just another barricade. Oh, it's just another barricade, John.
Can't do anything.
It's a nightmare.
He's literally just running through the fire and flames, the gauntlet. You're meant to fail at this point. It's a 1v5. Carrier's not in your back pocket. You're still trying to clear out the first floor when the second floor wasn't even taken care of yet. It won't be another flawless round, though. Luckily, Finn will deny that, but Joe is not going to guarantee him any more kills on this 8th round. Prevail will take it, and I don't know. Who is Joe, Scott? Who is Joe,
Joe
Scott?
Mama.
Oh, no! I didn't. I ran into the trap. I totally wasn't anticipating you to say Joe Mama. I totally did not expect that to happen, Scott. Nope. I can see that. Don't give me that look. Don't give me that look. Oh, my God.
Oh my
man.
goodness. We have fun. We have fun here.
Do a little bit of trolling.
I swear we're not boomers. We're not all like Chief here. We're not all like Chief. I promise. It comes and goes, but
No, we're cool and hip. We swear.
yeah, we're cool with the kids. We've played Among Us. I swear.
Yeah.
No, I mean the last round is just another just dominant victory by Prevail. Even if they lose this one, I just don't see them losing the one afterwards. This is a tertiary objective choice. I could see them go bar and stock and win, John.
The only bomb site that's worked out for Emergence has been Church, and that's when they were defending it. They tried attacking it, and we just saw what happened. That was a Church defensive hold, but it was just entirely played on the second and first floor. It was really hopeless for Emergence on that round. They just did everything wrong in that position, and they could have a chance on this bomb site, like you mentioned, Scott. This is technically, other than Bar, the most attacker-favorited bomb site. However, we've already seen Emergence not do the best of jobs when denying extensions coming on out, so this cash hold might be a little bit too much for Emergence, I suppose. That sounds really harsh to say, but I just feel like people should anticipate that SSG kind of roam when attacking Church, especially when you're going up against such an aggressive team. I'm not too sure why Emergence really just tripped on their footing on that past round, and now they have no room for error. If they trip one more time, they're going to fall and just chip a tooth or something at this point on the concrete.
Yeah, I mean,
that doesn't look pretty.
Feel
That does
way.
not look pretty either.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult. I mean, playing this tertiary objective is... sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's really difficult, but right now we're seeing Prevail really, really play that offside presence. Only 2 people even somewhat near the objective itself, and I talked about Prevail. They had an opportunity to step up and just rush to Kuzi when they were on the attack and catch Emergence off guard because of their offside position towards Cash, but looks to be Emergence is pulling that instead. They've got 3. They initially had 4, and now only 3 up top on this actual Jacuzzi side, looking to maybe make an impact, maybe find a first pick, but they do actually manage to get a down and finish them off. Talon finds Joe. It looks to be Finn took a lot of damage in the process, but they do have the initial first pick. That is already more than they had in round 7, and they're tied for what they had in round 8, but ultimately we're going to have to see if they can continue to get picks or if they're going to fall short once again, because Prevail is just not going to let them do what they want to do.
A lot of time was wasted, however, just to find that entry, and we've kind of seen Emergence just sitting in one location. They're sitting ducks, as you want to call it. They haven't done a lot of movement. We're trying to see some type of presence near the back stairwell, perhaps, but that's really it. This is kind of concerning for Emergence because, yes, they may have that man advantage, but when you're going into that last minute execution or so, you're bound to make so many mistakes. And oh my God, we're witnessing that just now. No one's watching the hatch drop. Momo gets one for free, but luckily Chax is there to find a refrag. Down to 45 seconds now, though. And Emergence, again, they have that man advantage. But what I was just saying is that they're bound to make some type of drastic error. And that might be Cool Shiesty just walking through the smoke canister. He's not going to lose a lot of HP, so I guess it was the better play. That must be a mislapse in my judgment, perhaps, but they're still going to have to get into the actual bomb site itself, and that's where Glyph is here to try to slow that down along with Rush with a Mossberg shotgun. Pete comes out by Glyph. He'll deal some damage on a Cool Shiesty, but he will return that favor. Glyph, though, will eventually find one. Chax with a 2K. Now he wide swings into the moto hole. He picks up a third for himself. Now all up to exist, stuck inside of logistics, and the plant now coming down by Cool Shiesty. He won't be able to deny it. He'll find one, though, on a Chax. He's now in a 1 versus 2 post plant, however, and things are finally looking up for Emergence. They do do have to play a lot more passively, though, in this position due to the fact that they're on desperately low HP and cannot overextend against Exist. But Cool Shiesty does just that, and
It's over.
oh no! Oh my goodness, Emergence, what are you doing? Oh my That's not what's supposed to happen. Prevail. Exist will win the round out and the match. Oh my god, you've got to be kidding me.
Oh man, what a great way to end that game off though entirely though. Prevail. I mean, I was gonna make an interesting point. Basically every round we've seen Emergence win was off Jax just thrashing. Right? And not just normally thrashing. The 3K in the first round they won. I think it was a 2K in the second round they won, and the 3K right there, but they couldn't even win it. I mean, they weren't letting it happen. Not in the slightest. Prevails over the top of Emergence, and it's what a devastating loss it is, with Momo dropping 11, Rush with 9. There's not a single person on this Prevail team right now that I'm looking at and say they made mistakes that could have cost them the game. Instead, they hunted. They were the predators. They completely caught off the opposing team, and there was nothing they could do about it. I mean, what is there to say beyond it? Prevail came out on top in a just one-sided affair. Emergence just couldn't fare against them. We know Emergence is a good team. They earned their way to be here. They have the right here, and they're a great team. I love watching Emergence. Just they couldn't overcome Prevail.
That was just nothing like Emergence. I have not seen them done that poorly. The only time they did good was on Church, and like you said, that was kind of down to the wire in most situations. It wasn't really a quote unquote guaranteed win. I really thought they had that round in the bag. It was a 2-on-1. They had a cross peek watching Diffuser. All they had to do was sit back. You can't overextend when you're on 1 HP going up against the 416 Carbine, but they literally did just that. I cannot fathom it, but Prevail taking away a pretty decisive win, 7-2 on Clubhouse. That was mind-boggling, Scott.
Yeah, it was a really good game. High five. It was a good game.
Yeah. Wait, yeah.
Yeah, there we go. High five.
Sorry, I can't tell from my right and left. I'm sorry.
It's all right. We'll figure it out one day. I think it's like the L is your left, even though it's like right on the camera.
So I have to take the L, Scott? I never do that. I never lose. Scott, I never lose.
Never lose. Never
Scott,
lose.
Look at me.
You prevail. You come out on top.
I never lose. I never lose.
Oh my goodness. What a great game though. Our next one's gonna be just as fun though. We got Toys versus X13. I mean, classic. I mean, trust only your squad. They're going to have to trust their squad because X13 is a powerhouse. They are phenomenal. They look good. Gunners all around. And while Gunners somewhere else in the league, on a different team. I mean, it's still Gunners all around by all accounts. So it's going to be interesting. But we will take a break between Game 1 and Game 2. Game 2 will be coming at you in just 6 short minutes as far as I'm aware. So stay tuned for that. And my name's Infernos, joined here by Fellow. We will catch you guys for the next matchup.
Welcome back, everybody, to UPL. My name is Fellow, also joined here by Infernosis. And if you were here for the last matchup, Prevail versus Emergence, that was a dominant performance by Prevail, winning that one 7-2. But now we've got two completely different teams for another best of one. It's going to be Toys or Trust Only Your Squad for the full word out there versus X13. So this one will be a little bit more exciting for sure. And I haven't seen Toys in quite a while, but last time I see them, they were a little bit down bad, to be honest with you, Scott. So hopefully they finally picked their way out of that slump and have begun to arise once more from the Toys that I've grown to know and love. So hopefully they have a wonderful performance up against X13.
Well, they better hope so, because X13 is a powerhouse. I mean, they're a great team by all accounts. X13 is monstrous, I guess you could say. So you better hope this is a bit, maybe doesn't end like Toy Story 3, right, where everyone cried at the end of it. If you're a Toys fan, maybe you don't want to cry at the end of this one. Maybe you want to have an upheaval. Maybe the toys come out of it victorious, right? But I mean, this could spell disaster. We'll have to see how it pans out, but we will jump to the map bans. We're going to see what we're going to be playing on, what we're not going to be playing on. Obviously, we just played Clubhouse. That could be an option. We could see how that pans out, but I mean, there's so many other maps to choose from. It'll be a little bit difficult, but Toys has the first ban. They're going to go ahead and take out the map choice of...
Drum roll anytime.
Any day now.
We'll figure
We
it
got
out.
this. It'll go someday.
I
There
can't
we
hold
go,
on. It's Oregon.
So
That's a good ban,
Oregon
though.
out for the count.
That's
Not a big
a great ban, though. So I'm quite happy about that. I'm glad I don't get to cast Oregon today. That's amazing. That's great news.
Any day
I've
you
never-
don't get to cast Oregon, good day.
I've
There you go.
never ever in my career I've said that sentence out loud and been like, wow, that feels so good. But what doesn't feel good is seeing Coastline ban, because I actually really like that map, even though that it could probably use a rework for sure. It's definitely a little bit of an older map that isn't the best made map for the current meta, but it's still someplace warm in my heart. But two pretty decent bans so far, and we're not going to see Club as well, as that's going to be the third ban for this evening.
Yeah, Clubhouse out for the count. We're not going to see it twice back to back. I kind of want to see Consulate get reworked first, though, John. It deserves it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
pretty yikes map. But we may actually have Consulate be played. Chalet gets banned down next by X13. Now Toys get their next ban. And Cafe's still on the board.
Oh,
Consulate's still on the board. So we are going to have to play either Consulate or Cafe. It's more than likely going to be Cafe. In fact, it will be. So, unfortunately, I do not like X13 anymore. Toys, you have stolen my heart. And that's a big rule for me. If you ever lead up to the decision of playing Cafe, then I don't like you that much. But we're going to see X13 start on the attack and Toys on the defense. Cafe is a difficult map to do either, I guess you could say. I want to see some echoes. I want to see the Yokai Drones pop through that center hatch, through skylights. I want to see them go for some cheeky nitros into that stairwell hatch, maybe even new hatch as well. But, I mean, I really, 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 really hate Cafe. I mean, just by all accounts, it's a terrible map.
I think I would have rather casted Oregon. I know I was spending a lot of time just being like, oh, thank God, no Oregon. Then we go to Cafe and it's like, oh, no. It's like saying it can't get any worse, right? And then it gets worse and you're like, oh, no. But that's okay. At least we'll know what we're going to be talking about for Cafe, because it's played time and time again. And you're right about the Echo. I think Lego my Ego? I think
bro. Lego my Ego.
Yep. I'm glad we're on the same page. I'm glad our brains are like just like that on sync.
Hardwired,
I think
built
Echo
different.
is a very underutilized operator, and when put in the right hands, or put in anyone's hands, to be honest, he is a amazing intel gatherer and operator in general, and also one of the best plant deniers in the game. Although his gadget is now completely visible no matter what you do to it, it could be literally anywhere other than Echo's back pocket, and you can probably shoot it. It's still going to concuss you out of doing that plant, and that can actually win you so many rounds than you would actually not anticipate to win if you're in those 1vx positions. I mean, take a look at the matchup between G2 and I can't even remember who, but way back when Kayak got that amazing 1v3 clutch because he just concussed the player going for the plant, so he couldn't plant anymore. It was actually just phenomenal, and I'm glad plays like that still happen from time and time again, so hopefully we do see him. I'm sorry that I went on that really long tangent about one operator, but I think Echo deserves that long tangent.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're going on a long tangent for another operator. You pick Echo. I'm going to go with
Maestro?
Recruit. I think Recruit needs more airtime. I think Recruit has so much viability now. The fact that you can have nades and you can have flash grenades, right? Toss those just everywhere. You can do so much for those. Why not do it? Just bring them all. Toss in a Recruit. You get rid of every single ADS, every single Wamai magnet. You can get rid of everything because you can just go and just yeet that crap into the room and be done with it, right? I mean, you're clearing absolutely everything. You don't need to waste, your Zofia lifeline concussive blasts. You don't need to waste breaching rounds. You don't got to waste flash grenades of actually useful operators. Instead, just LMG, mounted, not so mounted, I guess, and loaded, actually is loaded, and then toss those flashes and toss those nades. Recruit needs more time in the spotlight. Prove me wrong.
It's almost like you can't play him in competitive. Unlucky. Used to be able to. Have you gone back and seen like the year one videos of Pro League where Recruit was actually played and viable because of the Recruit shield strategy you could do? Oh my God, those were the days. I wasn't there to live them, but just watching the videos, it's almost like I was there to live through it perhaps. But a little bit enough about the past. Let's move on to the present and now future as we are going into the operator bans. And the first one is gonna be, we'll find out right now, it'll be a Nomad. Okay. That's a really good ban, to be honest. You expect the Thatcher or a Hard Breacher first and foremost, but Nomad is played a lot on this map. So getting her banned isn't the worst idea if you're going to want to go for those very aggressive roam and flank games.
Yeah, I mean, seeing Nomad get banned out, that makes it more difficult, but it also forces the attacking side to use Gridlock. And I think most teams do that anyways for this map. I think Gridlock's kind of just a go-to. Wider, to be able to place those track stingers down, a bit wider deployment, a little bit more of an audio queue. They can fight back, but it's not necessarily... how do I phrase this? It's not necessarily worse. It's not necessarily better. They can fight back, but they're more audible. They do take damage in the process instead of just getting knocked back. But ultimately, it's a strong ban. Nomad's a very strong ban. Second ban to come through was Thatcher, then immediately followed suit by the Valkyrie. So once again, no information is being allowed in either of the two matches we've had today. That is none too shocking, especially on this map. Taking away information from the defenders is a must, and it's not shocking to see X13 jump the gun on it.
Maestro, Valk, Echo, just some operators that are really strong on this map. Mira as well, but I didn't want to really name her because I anticipated her getting banned. It's a really bad idea to keep her on the board because when you're defending the top floor of Bar and Cocktail, or if you're defending the middle floor of Reading Room and Fireplace and then extending up above, it's really hard to clear out those windows. You can also play her on the basement floor if you really want to, but I haven't seen any good implemented strategies with her, mostly because she's normally banned and there's better operators to bring on the basement floor, but because she's banned, we're not going to see her. Cocktail and Bar, though, we will see that as the first bomb site being played. And judging by the lineup on the board for Toys, I think we'll see somewhat of an extension coming out in towards Piano. And another operator that's great for the flank denial as well that we were talking about, no Nomad, but because of that, David, with multiple Ds at the end of his name, is going to be rocking a 0, which I also think is very underutilized in the meta.
Yeah, I agree. I think 0 being brought through is pretty impactful, especially because it has a hard breach in the pocket. You can bring 0 as a secondary hard breach, right? And they're going to rely on Snows on the Hibana to do it instead for that main, and that's none too shocking, especially when it comes to this floor. You're going to have to worry about magnets, you're going to have to worry about ADSs towards Pixel, you have to worry about that 90 corner of Piano of Cigar Lounge, but ultimately, they need to clear it, and Kairos pellets, we can just launch 2 at a time, are a great way of doing that. They'll clear ADSs, they'll clear your magnets, they'll do everything you need them to do, and it will allow them to clear out that corner pocket a little bit easier, and you can also shoot your 0 gadget and then zap out a Vulcan shield, if it in fact is a Goyo, which we do see Jello has brought. So Toys, they brought so much to try and hold that corner, but X13 have countered it with very normal standard picks without having to go out of their way. And I dare say X13's weapon lineup is better all across the board.
The only issue that I have with 0 is that the best way to utilize his cams for flank watch is having someone dead, and technically you don't want anyone dying on your team. You always want to be in a 5 versus something with you having that man advantage, but
when somebody dies in your team, would you say 0 gets stronger?
I suppose so, yes. I mean, he still has a lot to play on without someone being dead, but his primary gadget is really nice when you have someone that can just be on cam watch the entire time. So, yes, when someone's dead on your team and they can watch the Sam cams the entire round, I think it's really good to have them out.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to interrupt you, but it's just such an important point. I agree with you entirely. I think Valkyrie is of the same way, but I think 0 is just a little bit more. When somebody's dead, you can fire the 0 Sam gadget, you can launch it, and they can watch it immediately. So for that split second before it's shot out, typically by a defender, they'll have vision, they have eyesight, and they can ping, they can mark, they can do whatever they need to do, and it's exactly what will work. But already ADS is burned out, Magnets now having to be retossed through, and Jello from below finds a nice Nitro Cell into J-Slime, but Needles immediately with a refrag back to Cordell. It's going back and forth, Cat finding Snows, a fight going now in between Mining as they're attempting to catch this player off guard. You are in fact bringing out a secondary player to assist. David is looking for an opportunity, but it's not going to matter. Jello finds the kill instead. Oh my god, finds a turn and finds David on top of it. Now it's a 4v1. Jello's found 3 so far, and they're looking to make it a 4K.
Oh, X13 could have played that so much better against Jello, but they got too cocky in the 2-on-1, and Jello somehow wins it. He's looking for a 4K. He lights up Craze, but cannot confirm the frag. It'll be Matt Bonger there with the M14 to shut him down. Toys taking the first round with relative ease, that piano extension being far too formidable for X13 apparently, and the mining room clear it was just horrendous. I don't know how they allowed that 3K to come out. I genuinely have zero clue how Jello got away with that.
I mean, man,
I'm writing it down, man.
That's strange. Also, write down the fact that we just saw an Aruni with the Mark 14 and not with the Rooney.
That is a good point. I did mention to you the M14, Aruni M14 Pog, Aruni
M14
Pog. Apparently Matt Bonger, but yeah, Matt Bonger, more like Matt Boggers.
We don't need the Roni. None of it. We want none of it.
Nope.
I don't even like the Roni on Mozzie because I like the Commando because I can make puns with the name a little bit easier. But are we really picking up a tertiary objective of reading and fireplace? We're not going down to kitchen instead?
Apparently so.
All right, Toy, show me what you got. They're going to have to extend their roam. They're going to still have to take full control of this third floor. I mean, this is just how Cafe works. You still have to take control of third floor. It's just going to be a question of whether or not they can replicate the same thing they just did prior. When X13 looked to step inwards and maybe pick a few players off guard, Toys were there to refrag. They had players below on the second floor. They had players roaming around and taking some substantial off angles and some substantial positions. But they weren't able to fully push themselves in because of that Cigar Lounge hold. But now there's going to be less people to actually defend that Cigar Lounge hold, to defend that 90 corner, to defend Pixel. There's so many names you can call it, but there's going to be less people to do that. And it's ultimately going to allow for X13 to have a little bit easier of a job or easier of a life to go through it. But ultimately, it's only one step to take this tertiary objective. Toys just find one. They step away. They've won the fight.
And we saw the roam clear being attempted by X13. They had Jello in the palm of their hands, and then it just seeped through their hands like sand at an ocean. It just went right through them, and Jello got away. Not scot-free, but kind of did. He lost a lot of health, but it didn't really matter in a 4-on-1. It was really embarrassing for X13, and now they're going to have to basically just go up against a plethora of roamers up above, trying to clear out that common extension that you see time and time again. And, oh, well, can't you just lead these players up above? That way you don't have to worry about the roam? No, because then they can just make kill holes up above and just kill you while trying to go for a plant. It's not a good idea just to lead these roamers up above, and then they can also come back in towards site if you're not watching your flank well enough. And with a 0, yeah, you have some type of flank watch, but again, no one's dead just yet, and also, unlike an air jab, it at least forces the player to not be able to do anything with their gun in hand. They're knocked on the ground. A Sam Fisher cam, you can zap them, and that's if Sam Fisher's using the camera. That's it. You can just gather intel with it, and that's pretty much all the gimmick can be had with that Argus camera.
Yeah, when the camera finds effect, it finds effect pretty substantially, but it's pretty rare to see it find that effect, and it's not going to find any effect. Cordell finds a kill. Pretty nice one to clean up onto David, and now already X13 with a man disadvantage. They've cleared out, Mined cleared out this train side, but now getting caught off guard. Jello gets one, immediately refragged back by Snows. A 4v3 in play. Needles from below, sitting inside a museum, looking for maybe to catch a player in Cigar through hatch off guard. Maybe they take a different angle, but they might get caught in return as well. They're going to take firefight. Snows taking a long shot angle from C3. Now going to have to worry about the double push that comes through. J-Slime with some assistance finds Cats. And another one down as Needles will eventually secure Cordell. But frag for frag, Matt Bonger finds J-Slime with the SMG-11 with only 38 seconds on the clock. In this 2v2, it's still anyone's game. It's just a matter of who overextends and who finds the next picks.
It's 30 seconds left. Gunfight come out. Jarden losing it, forcing Matt Bonger to 1v2. Needles right in the middle of train. He's going to lose his gunfight, though. That brings things back to a 1v1. Matt Bonger is aware of Snows' position at the current moment. Those stun grenades giving it away for the information. The kill being confirmed, but no, that's not the play, Snows. Matt Bonger's still up on the floor. He gets a freebie on the Snows, and Toys will take their second round, all because someone got a little too kill hungry.
Man, I mean, getting absolutely caught off guard right there. That is not a position where you want to be in. That's not where you want to get caught off guard. What a great way to hold yourself accountable, though. Did you see how well they were able to sit back? They got flashed. They knew exactly where they needed to sidestep to not get caught off guard. They knew exactly where where the wall was hard, where the wall was soft, where it was breached, so that they could perfectly situate themselves so that they couldn't get shot from inside reading. And it worked spectacularly. And I guarantee the comms at that point in time was just constantly, just constantly that downed player just sitting there going, here, ping, 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 light ping, just the entire time, just screaming, giving the call out, rushing, pushing, killed me, took me out. They're still there, call outs all across the board. And they played that spectacularly. Toys in a 2-0 now at this point in time. They're finally going to be heading down to Kitchen. They picked up the tertiary choice instead of the main go-to, but I don't think it matters. They won that route, and they looked good doing it.
The fact that X13 also didn't clear out up top kind of bit them in the rear end because they had to worry about both the middle floor positions and also the top floor at the exact same time. And X13 eventually cleared it out up above, finding some nice shots in through heaven and a couple other places up above as well, but they lost some players along the way, so it wasn't a perfect position for them. And also because they cleared it out via just winning their gunfights on the middle floor, they didn't have that vertical play to work off of either, which could have guaranteed themselves a little bit of an easier time in that 2-on-2 that Matt Bonger ended up actually winning on out. And I guess I was a little too harsh on Snows as well, because I guess getting rid of that information gatherer of the player who was down on the floor, I guess that's the proper move, but it was a perfect kill bait for Matt Bonger, and he utilized it perfectly. But now, enough about the last round. We'll get into this matchup on Kitchen now, or the round play on Kitchen, I should say, which should be pretty decent for Toys as well. This is a much more favorable bomb site, but we're seeing a lot of aggression coming out by X13 almost immediately. The prep wall not being reinforced at all, and one player already in the middle of Bakery, that's going to be J Slime, but Cordell still finds that entry similar to last round. There goes Craze, and that might be most of your hard destruction down the drain, but at least you still have Snows and a couple of stop destruction players to work with as well to possibly get rid of those mute jammers. But the Maverick, a very pivotal player in this third round, is now out for the count for another 2 minutes.
And those are nades. Very important nades you should add in for a map like this, for a map like Cafe. So many off little corner angles that are just able to be held by defenders in Kitchen. Behind every single countertop, every single table. There's a reason why you see Jaegers. I mean, you see them every single round, but the reason why you see Jaegers opt so heavily for some of their ADS is to be placed a little bit more central into the objective. But right now, as of the current moment, X13 are looking to kind of push inwards, now being officially denied as Cordell takes Needles out for the count, and J-Slime taking a lick of damage as well. They realized Cat was inside of this check-in closet, the coat closet, as some would say, but it doesn't seem to matter. They're not able to put themselves in a position to find success. They lose that engagement, and now they're another man down. Toys, they're toying with X13 right now. They're just letting them fall into their palm. It's kind of like the mousetrap we just watched with Emergence in Prevail. But it's a little bit less aggressive from Toys and a little bit more passive aggressiveness from them instead. But the second we do see aggressiveness from Jello, they'll be fragged back in return. Snows does not let it contend with them. In fact, Snows takes no damage in the process. Cordell missing an opportunity for an easy kill. J Slime will instead find it. And that ties us right back in this 3v3.
X13 have a better chance at winning this. Obviously, a 3-on-3 is a lot more advantageous for yourself compared to a 5-on-3, but they're still really flushed out against Toys. They'll hop on in through Freezer, but the wide swing by Matt Bongers comes out. He picks up one with the monster, but can't get another one. Snows will get that refrag almost immediately, bringing things back to an even man count. David gets one on a Cat, and around the corner, he picks up another via the prep room. X13 with an amazing clutch on the round, somehow bringing things back, and now a 2-to-1 split, still favoring Toys, but man, that's gotta hurt, and at least we'll see some success favoring X13.
I mean, that's Toys' mistake. I mean, their aggressive nature they brought in, they stopped playing passively. They stopped letting X13 fall into their lap and instead try to nudge them into their lap, and unfortunately got nudged into the afterlife. There was nothing they could do. Shoved off a cliff, felled, and unfortunately they'll lose round 3 because of it. Toys had that advantage. They had the round in the bag, might I add, but they just couldn't stop themselves from getting greedy. So couldn't stop themselves from trying to push for it. And you saw two of their players, Snows and I believe J Slime, get sorry, not J Slime. It was Toys and Jello, I believe, that pushed for those two onto J Slime and Snows. They cleaned up. J Slime and Snows. Oh, my brain right now just completely failing. I'm reading every word backwards. Snows and J Slime, they got rushed. They punished accordingly. They didn't let the players of Toys. They didn't let them try to get yet another set of lead. Toys got greedy, paying the price. I'll let you take over. I'm gonna have to like crack my head against a wall or something. I don't know. My brain is just ceasing to function.
Yeah, you're just pulling at me from last game. Don't worry about it. We switched spots, essentially. And Toys also switching up the bomb site. They're not going to go the same place twice. And even though they could have won basement, it is probably the better option just to go to the safe place of Bar and Cocktail, because Toys did a fantastic job of defending it. This extension into Piano really did a number on X13's resources that they had via the utility, and also Jello underneath in particular. He found that 3K, and he was just such a menace on that round, and he'll bring the exact same lineup. He's playing underneath once more on that Goyo, the Vector in hand as well, and he might get into a gun engagement almost early on. J-Slime going to take some damage. He's not going to be able to return the favor onto Jello. Craze taking his spot now as well, though. He'll actually end up returning the favor for his friend, and that forces Jello all the way back up above, and now X13 have the middle floor in their favor, so they can now begin to get that self-destruction into effect, maybe trying to look for anything that could be on the main wall to deny them via the hard destruction, but there's no one on the side of Toys to do that, so it's just going to be looking for kill holes perhaps on the main defenders inside of Cocktail, for example.
You got to get those picks. You got to clear out sight. You got to play a little bit more safe, I guess is the term. But I'll tell you what's not going to be safe. It's going to be Craze. Fragged out by Cat. Refrag will come through as David does take out Jello, but at this point in time, when Cat just sprays through that soft wall, that soft window, I should say, barricaded window, and finds Needles directly in front, finds a third into David. It's going all downhill. Jordan finds J-Slime. It's just Snows remaining. They're checking the skylight hatch, not really sure what they can do at this point in time in this 1v4. Time, not on their side. Father Time, definitely not on their side. And neither is this round at this point in time. It just does not bode well. Snows has to find 4 on top of this if they want to be able to clutch this round. There's not much contention to be had, especially when Cat can just spray through a window and find so much success. 3 kills from inside of C2, and they may try to push for another one. I said Toys got greedy the time before. They have the wiggle room now to be greedy as they're up in a 4v1, but I think they maybe learned their lesson, maybe trying to play this one a little bit more passive-aggressively instead and continue to let X13 to come to their trap.
We might just see a tactical timeout by X13. It's probably the best option here. You can, of course, try to win the 1 versus 4, but with Toys really not giving that leeway, not giving any breathing room for X13, it's probably just best that Snows sits on top of the roof and just talks with his team like, okay, they're probably going to go reading room. How can we attack that top floor to make things a lot easier for ourselves and actually end up winning that round and not getting 1v2'd by Matt Poggers? So I don't really blame this play at all by Snows and the rest of his team. It's the wiser decision. And yes, Scott, I did say Matt Poggers. I did say Matt Poggers. I can hear you smirking in the background. It was funny, but oh man, our humor, it's definitely far too zoomer. At least Chief's on here. He'd probably be like, God, I hate you too.
No, I don't even think he knows what Poggers is. I'll be pretty honest with you. I mean,
probably not, actually. That's a good point.
It was a tactical timeout, though. I mean, they took their time. Toys are going to win it. They're not going to let Snow fall. Maybe saving the op, right? I know that you never do that. I
guess.
You think it's CSGO. You're pretty...
I don't use an op. I only use the deagle. You don't have to save when you buy a deagle. It's dirt cheap. That's the point.
You just buy it every round. It's totally fine. But somehow
I buy a deagle
John,
every
you
round
still buy the
hedge.
deagle every round and can't afford the deagle the next round. I don't know how you do it. It's crazy. Somehow,
Dude, I hate you.
You're the one who said Matt Pogger.
I started this? Okay.
You started this, all right? You started this. It was definitely not me with the Joe Mama joke, all right? It was definitely you. Definitely started with you. Actually, you know what? It started here. The second we joined into this lobby, we got roasted by our observer, all right? Absolutely just roasted by the observer. And
you got roasted.
And then we had a new producer come in and then say that we're just weirdos, strangers. SMH.
I wonder what gave that away.
Oh, I wonder how he caught on
wonder.
so quick. We hadn't even started casting yet, and he figured that out. It's crazy.
Yeah,
quick on the
must have
update.
been something we said.
I think he came in and we were going, sheesh, or something like that. You know, we were just really filling the role pretty well.
In the wise words of Frost, no kizzy.
No kidding. All right, well, so immediately starting off, we're going to be seeing toys. They're picking back up Reading Place. And Reading Place? Reading Room Fireplace. They're picking this back up. The tertiary objective choice, which they typically pick as their second best choice, which is interesting. And they're going to be playing this third floor extension once again. Take control. What's the term? Save the cheerleader, save the world from that old TV show way back then. Save the third floor, save the round. And that's exactly what they have to go for. Every time we've seen toys take substantial control of third floor, they've won the round. That is a stat you can take home because it's actually true. And it's kind of weird because it's a normal stat and it sounds impressive, but it's honestly kind of normal because the objective is on the third floor. But you take control of third floor and you don't let X13 step inside, toys, statistically speaking, have won dominantly. And there's not really been any chance for X13 to put themselves in a position to show any dominance.
And I think we're seeing X13 at least attempt to go up above and try to remove this roam presence by toys, and that's the default strategy. It's what you normally should go for, because if you just blitz your way into Fireplace, that's basically a death trap, and if you don't clear out the top floor before going in a reading room, that's also a death trap because, like I mentioned earlier, the kill holes that can be made by toys when they're playing up above. So getting that control of piano room, breaking that Vulcan shield, trying to flush out the player in your bathroom, this is the go-to idea for X13. So I'm glad they're learning from their mistakes. And they haven't lost anybody yet in the first minute. They dealt some damage to Cordell, so they're applying a fair amount of pressure up against toys. So they're going to have to play a lot smarter, and especially after losing the entry as J-Slime eradicates Matt Bongers, X13 is in a much better position on this fifth round, and they're going to just keep applying more and more pressure moving forward. But Cat will try to slow that down for the time being, equalizing now to 4-on-4.
Yeah, you gotta let the boa constrictor constrict. You've gotta let the snake tighten around, coil around your opponent, and both sides are trying to do just that. X13, they had the lead, they had found that early pick, and it was substantial, but immediately fragged back kind of puts them in a position where they kind of feel it tightening around their own neck. And now Toys, and despite giving up crossfire angles and their positions being marked out, as Needles is able to get a nice long fire shot over to Cat, sitting on, I believe, what was C2. It's going to be no longer there. They're going to be seeing themselves out of the round instead. And Cordell's getting, I want to say greedy, getting a more acute angle, a more dangerous angle, I guess you could say. I think Chief would call it an apex position. Typically, you do hold Pixel, but when there's a Vulcan shield there, when you have a shield, and instead holding it when there's nothing there, it's a bit more dangerous, but it could still work out for them. But Toys, a player disadvantage, still having completely given up control of that third floor initially, as they only had one player really defending it at this point in time, but it looks to be a Fireplace push. They have a very good chance of getting this down. Snows is starting the plant. Doesn't seem to be a great angle to defend. Jello goes for it and does down Snow, but also gets down to the process. And Jarden finds it with a Toxic Babe. A flank from Cordell finds one, and now it's a 3v2. Jello may be down, so it's basically a 2v2 at this point in time. But X13, with only 8 seconds left, they've got to be able to get something going. Craze finds Cordell, just Jarden, and Craze finds them all. X13 will win a round off of Craze's crazy play.
Oh my goodness, at the last second, oh my, and a wall bang out of all things too. He had no intel to work off of. X13 steal the round away from Toys when it should have been an easy one. After that rotation came out by X13, I was really questioning it. I was like, why are they now going underneath? It's because they were able to get that man advantage back in their favor, but Toys was able to equalize, and then it didn't matter because when they had to stall for time, X13 just kept pushing into them. They couldn't backpedal anymore, so they just moved forward, and then Toys is on the back burner. I'm completely shocked that X13 came back from that. Impressive plays and even better gunmanship by Craze securing that 3K at the end. That was very impressive indeed, but because of that, I don't think we're going to be seeing Reading Room anymore. That's not the case either. We're going to Kitching, where the site was won by X13 miraculously, but that was also off of the fact that Toys played a little bit too aggressive after they already secured themselves a 5-on-3 advantage. So, as long as Toys does what they did in the first time when defending this bomb site, getting those 2 entries with Cordell in particular, and then just playing a little bit smarter in this position. They should have no struggles whatsoever against X13, but I'm only assuming that X13 will anticipate that kind of aggression coming out by Cordell and the rest of his squad on toys for the most part.
Yeah, and I want to talk about the communication that X13's probably brought to the table. They realized, hey, we can't really take full control of third floor. We'd have to commit a little bit too much. Maybe put a couple of our operators in a line of danger, and so they stepped away. And I think it was J-Slime that actually said that, because they had died, and they've been talking this entire time. I'm sure you can see it on the right side. They have been talking the entire time. Very communicative, very talkative person. So at this point in time, I mean, X13... they have coming off a round victory, a very nice one at that. I mean, they really caught toys off guard. Craze went crazy and found so much success stepping in and taking full control of that second floor in a fireplace hall. But at this point in time, toys know the mistakes they made when they initially defended this objective, and they don't want to make the same mistakes. And if there's one team you expect to maybe find a round victory in a basement hold or the kitchen hold, it's going to be toys. They know what went wrong, they'll change it up, and they're already starting off with a bit more success than we had maybe seen the round before. Already a refrag has not gone through. J-Slime did not get the opening pick and instead was picked off in return. So a minute and 55 seconds on the clock, and toys with a one-man lead. X13, some questions that need some answers.
Especially after losing that early player from the get-go, I should say. This is exactly the same exact trap that X13 kind of walked into. They do have the top floor in their hands, which is always nice, but they need to start getting that vertical play down. Right now, they are not doing that whatsoever. Craze is nowhere to be found, apparently, so he can't do his job. He's currently trying to go for a grenade toss near the top of Brown's stairwell, and now he can start positioning himself in towards the back area of Fireplace, where Needles is doing a great job on that vertical play in particular. So not the worst position for X13, but through that vertical play, they should try to find some type of kill and compensation, because then at least toys will not have this man advantage that looks so deadly for X13 right now, because even with these vertical holes, they haven't really been able to do anything via that bird's eye view. So it's been looking really grim for them so far. Toys is just waiting for X13 to make some massive hiccup like we've seen beforehand, and they're really just... they're playing completely chillax right now, to be honest, Scott. There's only 40 seconds left, so that's all they really have to do. They can just play devil's advocate, basically, and just wait for something horrible to happen on the side of X13. Shots come all the way down the main hallway, and Jello is just not even trying to get in on the action. He's waiting for the drop in towards Freezer. The peak finally comes out, but it's a little too late, so he cannot kill the player right behind in towards White Sterile, but that's completely fine. Time is still on Toys' side. He's waiting for that hatch drop. Some damage will be done on a Snows, but he hasn't hopped all the way down just yet. Matt Bonger picks up 2. Needle shuts down Jello. Now a 3-on-3. It's an ocean of orange now. All of a sudden, things look great for X13, but Cat's still in it to win it. He picks up 1 on a David, but can't get another. Needles is there to deny the clutch, and X13 bring us 3-3 going in round number 7.
Absolute devastation. I mean, it was going so favorably for Toys, but finding pocket player in VIP, finding pocket players inside of those footholds in the actual kitchen objective, and Toys just got caught off guard. Cut off guard, you could say, as their lifelines were snipped away piece by piece. And those weren't some child safety scissors. Those were some sharp, like, sewing scissors. The ones that your mom does not let you play with or does not let you use for anything else, because she's like, no, it'll dull the blade. If you can't tell, I'm really taking some personal experiences out on here. Mom, why would you do that? But tying it up and seeing X13 make the return here and bringing it to this 3-3 at half, this does not bode well for Toys. X13 now on a favorable defensive side could just end this off here in a pretty quick fashion. They could just take the next 4 rounds and just say, hey, these are ours, and be done with it. But this match has been pretty even throughout, and I think we could actually see it go all the way through to overtime if it does happen to go down to it.
Still writing down the notes, basically. I am shocked as to how well X13's aggression paid off in the last dire moments of that round. It came down to just about 20 seconds. Toys still had the man advantage, and eventually it just came to just a series of kills coming out left and right and center by everybody on the side of X13. Everybody did their part that round that was still alive to find any type of kill, and Then it turned into a 1v2 out of nowhere, all up to Cat. Again, just masterful stuff by X13 coming out. Their aggression was paying off in the very end of that round. But now they're on defense, so they're going to have to probably play a little more conservatively. That's how you normally do things when defending for the most part, unless you're going on a very extensive type of defensive hold. But right now, we're not seeing that whatsoever by X13. No one's on the top floor, and Toys will gather that information for the rest of their team to move lower and lower into the building of Cafe. That way they can start doing that very common vertical play, as we are in fact on Kitchen, where you see probably the most vertical play on any bomb site other than probably Reading Room.
Yeah, and with the fact that Valkyrie's been banned out, information is pretty important, right? I mean, everyone knows that information is key as a defender. I mean, you think about different games like CSGO, you can't really gather information actively like that. Valorant you kind of can with a Sovo, but really and truly in R6, playing on the defensive side of a game and being able to gather active information like that is unprecedented. And that's one of the great reasons why R6 is such a great tactical shooter. And with Valkyrie taken out for the count, it makes it a little bit more difficult, but they're kind of supplementing that. They're bringing Maestro out. They're going to have the Evil Eyes. They're going to have the Meatball cameras, hoping that it will be able to find some impact, but with no Mozzie to hack drones, it's kind of free reign for Toys to gather their own level of information, and they're doing just that. And on top of doing just that, they're also clearing out that utility consumption simulator that X13 has been bringing to the table. And despite the ever-flowing attempts right now, they're going to be able to get the first pick as well. Cat finds Snows and sets themselves up. They've lost the information. The Evil Eye-wielding Maestro will no longer be allowed to stay into this one. Cordell finds the second into Craze. They were being contested and rushed, but it doesn't seem to matter. Needles does get a refrag into Matt Bonger, but Toys have full control of the second floor and are just taking their sweet time to make their way down to the kitchen.
And they've got plenty to spare, especially since they have that man advantage. Now, of course, players like Jeller, they're going to have to worry about the players stacked in the back of VIP. Gone 6 comes out to break that shield, and Needle somehow wins the gunfight. He's on a sliver of HP, but he can still defend VIP for the time being. Now in a 3-on-3, Toys that once had such a great advantage up against X13 are now a little worse for wear. They still have a fighting chance, of course, but with the player of Needles just wasting so much time in the back of VIP, they could win single-handedly off of this lone player. He's getting that C4 prepped up. It gets shot out of the air. So much time being wasted, and Needles somehow wins it. He'll get shot in the back by Cordell, but we're down to 15 seconds, and the Toxic Babes are now into effect. This is perfect for X13. Now we have to see the main doorway push coming out. That way Cordell and Cat can remain alive for the time being, and David's now watching it. Cordell gets a 3K, all up to David now, and the main doorway push isn't coming out. There's no time to fully rotate. The plant coming out in a last-ditch attempt, but now there's no coverage. X13 get away with it scot-free as David's there to wrap it up with a quick 2K, and X13 single-handedly winning that round off of Needles for the most part, just because of how much time he was able to waste.
The ability to waste time in such a substantial manner we're seeing from X13 is unprecedented. Toys did a pretty good job of that. They really contested that third floor for an extended period of time, and they caught X13 off guard for the first 3 rounds of the match. But as you saw of those last 4 that we saw, the last 3 of their defensive half, of Toys' defensive half, it became X13's, right? They were able to say, okay, we're kind of wasting time fighting you on the third floor. Instead, we'll just push in through mining window. We'll push in through, white stair window, and we'll just take control of the second. We'll actually push in through mining. We'll push in through Terrain Museum, and we'll push into Fireplace Hall. And it works out for them. And we're going to see that time and time again. X13 patient. They are methodical. They know where to go. They know how to push, and they know what they need to do. They wasted so much time of Toys. They forced Toys to play a 30-second meta. They may have lost 2 people instantaneously at the very beginning and taken that 2-man deficit, but it doesn't matter to them. They don't seem to care because they say, hey, we got 3 players that aren't even going to move from this position they're in for the next 45 seconds at least. They are playing these cheeky angles, these offside angles, and they're playing devastatingly anchored in. That isn't just any old normal anchor. That looks like Mr. Krabs' house anchor. It is a big boy, and it is sturdy down under. And X13, they pull off a miraculous and substantial round win in round 7.
Would have made a Rhode Island joke perhaps, but no one knows anything about Rhode Island, so that would have went over like probably everyone's head except mine, so never mind. We'll maybe discuss it another time perhaps, but That was a pretty good reference because X13 literally did not give up that VIP hold, even though Needles is on such little HP, up until he finally died after he got a 3-for-1 steal deal, which made up for the fact that they lost so many players early on, and we're seeing that happen again! Toys! Oh my goodness, Jello picks up a 2K off the bat. Snows and David are going to be sleeping with the fishes now. Oh my goodness, what an impressive wallbang with the 50 drum mag vector at hand. This could actually be a loss for X13 because there's still plenty of time for Toys to dissect this 8th round. I mean, my God, Scott, what did we just witness?
Well, a pretty devastating loss. A loss of life, I guess you should say. And with the fact that they're able to just repel out that window and find 2 very impactful kills, not only did you remove active utility of Snows with the Wamai of the Magnets, you also removed Toxic Babes. And now on top of it, you've removed out the Malusi. Needles is taken out for the count. Craze does find Matt Bonger, which does kind of make it even worse right now for X13. But at this point in time, Toys, they have a 2-man lead. They just need to not get greedy like they did on their defensive side. And you're going to have to force J Slime and Craze to do it instead. With only a minute and a half left, they've got to push up. They've got to find kills. And J Slime and Craze only have 7 kills combined. Needles alone has 9 for their team. This is not boding well for X13. We might see it go to the 4th fort, which is not going to be too shocking considering I've already called out. I think we may go to overtime with this one. It's just that close.
Both these teams are incredibly strong, especially against one another right now, as we've seen both of them go back and forth, some rounds kind of being tossed away to the side, which isn't nice to see, but at least it kind of makes things even on up. Craze picks up a nice shot on the cat, though, as I was full conversation mode. He tries to go for another. He's going to miss on some vital shots, but he can reattempt it. He didn't meet his maker just yet, and he actually wins the fight. A 3K for Craze. C4 comes out. It's going to be a little bit too early, though. That will allow Cordell to rotate and pick up a 2K for himself, and now J Slime's in a 2v1. Make it 1v1, though, as he shuts down Jello and brings things back into an even man situation. J Slime in a great position to deny this plant. He just has to stall for time. There's only 20 seconds left. Cordell, he'll walk all the way around in towards White Hallway, in towards Pallets. He can't get a great sight line, though, on a J Slime. He's playing this angle perfectly. The shot could line up. He goes for the pre-fire. It's far too early. He full commits to it, but the drop shot comes out. J Slime wins it for his team. It doesn't matter. A 5v3, a 1v1, a 2v1. It doesn't matter. X13 wins it out regardless, and now they're 1 round away from match point.
Blink and you'll miss it. That's what that round became. Blink and you'll miss it. And it seems to be X13's kind of go-to, their bread and butter. They're finding everything so substantially right now, John, that if you blink, you miss it. And Toys, they haven't found an answer. They're losing these engagements in ways that they shouldn't be. I called out J Slime for not having very many frags, and apparently listening in, they know. I wouldn't be shocked if our producer, sorry, not a producer, our observer just sent them a message, say, hey, Infernos is over in the booth calling you out, and they said, watch it. And then showed up and found success. I mean, they're still talkative. They're still chatting it up. Look at that top right corner. They're still communicating as much as possible. Just absolute chatting away like me when I was 6 years old. Once again, sorry, Mom, I was a bit of a brat. But with a 3-5 scoreline and X13 in the lead, they're now going to be heading to this tertiary objective of Reading Room and Fireplace Hall. They won this on the attack. They know how to defend it on the defense. It's just a matter of, well, they have as strong of a hold on the 3rd floor as Toys did. We just saw it, but last time was a bit of a miracle. I don't think they can necessarily replicate that time and time again. But I say that, but they've already done it before, so it's still anyone's game. But X13 are 1 round away from making it match point.
Right now, J Slime's probably racing you on Twitter. He put you on pack watch, bro. You're done for, Scott. I'm sorry to tell you, man, but it just hashtag rip bozo. That's all I gotta say. And Scott, you're the bozo right now. You're the star of the carnival right now, bro. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the over excessive use of bro, but I really had to put that into perspective of the Zoomer mindset. I am so sorry, chat. You had to just listen to what I just had to spiel out there. But like I said earlier, X13 there, 1 round away from match point, and that's not going to be a good position for Toys, of course. They have no room for error essentially, and all that they're doing right now is just making errors for themselves to tumble upon. They had that 2-man advantage with Jello picking up a nice kill, but even now they won't even get the entry to start things off. They're already doing horrendously. Cordell losing his life far too early in this position. I mean, we've just seen the fire die down by Toys currently. Everything that they attempt to do is just denied completely by X13, and even this push coming in towards mining will have the exact same fate as it's been throughout this entire second half with X13 defending.
Yeah, not a good position to be in. Toys, they've managed to win. They managed to lose despite starting off strong, and now they're starting off just down horrendously, down bad, some would say. This is a very sheesh kind of moment, but Needles is going to take one more, but it'll be Craze who's felt in between. David finds Jordan immediately, however. Cats is going to continue some sort of a dominant reign and find a refrag back towards Jay Slime, but Cat's kind of left in a 1v3. Cat's out of the back. Cat's got your tongue, and I don't think Cat's going to get this round, in all honesty here. This is a bit of a stretch that comes through, and it's going to possibly need to be another one of those rounds where we see them take a bit of a tactical timeout. Ooh, nice shot from Cat to clean up for a 3K. This one's getting ever closer. They have managed to take some full control of this third floor. There's no way to contest down below now. They'll have to drop at some point in time. They're too wary of this C2 hold, but there's no one there at this point in time. Snows and David are on the floor below. Cat's wasted too much time playing here, is now going to have to use this sledgehammer to cut some sightlines off, but I don't think we're going to see X13 give it to him. We're not going to see X give it to him. Not at all. Not in the slightest. That one really just came out. I was like, man, that's actually going to work. But Cat's now rotating back around Pillar Room, needs to check the hull, has the footholds that were created, and is still trying to figure out where they need to step to. Picks up Defuser, playing a little bit more strategically, but time not on their side. Only 18 seconds left, and an angle is being held that could absolutely devastate. Finds a nice long shot angle. The 4K available. Finds David. It's just a 1v1. Cat can do it, but they can't finish it off. Snows finds it instead, and X13 narrowly escape an upset victory. It's going to now go to the match point. X13. One will win it all.
An amazing and valiant effort by Cat, but it's not going to be enough. He couldn't find all 5. Snows playing that a little bit too smart to save his own skin, and now X13, they're in the front seat of match point. They could drive themselves into the landscape of victory right now, and Toys really can't do anything about it. Even when everything was lined up for them, like I said earlier, with Jello finding that 2K, they still lost it. And on a dominant round like that, where X13 was rolling them from the get-go and then cut off way too much slack, they allowed Cat to really overperform there. They managed to calm themselves down and put Snows in a winning position to deny the ace and the win for Toys when they needed it most. And now there can be zero room of error for Toys right now. They've got to win a flawless rotation on every single bomb site, most likely, and starting with one of the most defender-favorited bomb sites of Cafe, Kitchen Service and Kitchen Cooking, with the exact same extension that worked out phenomenally for X13. We saw that round, Needles popping off time and time again. If we see that exact same storyline play out in this next chapter of Cafe, this could be the end of the entire book. There might not be no second copy, Scott. This could just be a one and done kind of writing.
Absolutely. At this point in time, I mean, there's so much on the line for X13, right? I mean, they've got wiggle room, I guess you could say. But at the same time, Toys, they can just do what X13 did. They can make that big return. They're going to have to do it in 3 instead of doing it in 4 to make the return to bring it to that tie. But they still have the chance to do it. Toys can absolutely bring this one back. The rounds that X13 has won, they've not been this massively dominant victory besides maybe the last round, which still came down to a 1v1. This game is insanely close. It is actually insane about how well these two teams are playing against each other at this level of play. Toys can absolutely get 1 or 2 opening picks and then not get greedy. That's what's cutting Toys off. That's what's tightening around their neck right now. It's greed. They're Scrooge McDucking right now. They're attempting to swim inside of the giant pool of gold and coins, but they don't seem to realize physics. They're diving in and they're hitting head first because that's a lot of solid mass. That's not a liquid. That is a solid state of matter, and it's been hurting them, and it's the exact opposite of what they need to have if they want any chance to face off against X13.
It's drip or drown right now, and Toys is most certainly drowning. Shit! But Cordell picks up one, and it won't matter, sadly. That was an amazing kill by Cordell, but Craze is right around the corner to deny the man advantage favoring Toys. They'll bring things evened on back to a 4-on-4 after my horrible Zoomer joke that I'm probably going to regret having posted somewhere on Twitter. But David is not going to actually upset himself in the position currently. He won't regret that kill, as now X13 is back in the front seat in that man advantage. And there's not a lot favoring Toys right now. They're getting that vertical play started up at just the right time, but that's really it. They're still going to have to go down a floor lower, and if they work their way towards the white stairwell, they have to deal with Needles, who last time got a 3K. If we have the exact same thing happen again, he could just find all three of these players technically. Do I think that'll happen? No, but Needles will still definitely be a force to be reckoned with in these last 50 seconds where everything right now, Scott, is on the money. It's on the wire.
Yeah, it's on the line, and as of this point in time, Toys with a one-man disadvantage. They can only face off for so long. Now make it a two-man disadvantage. Craze going crazy, finds themselves a 2K. The rush comes through. Needles finds the kill into Jello, and Jello's Lion just takes a jump up. You can see them dive off, and that might be the last dive we see in this match. Jordan is left standing in a 1v4, does get a long shot over to Needles and gets the down, tries to clean up, but gets rushed by David, and David capitalizes, finding the kill. Jordan was swimming with the fishes, and we're gonna see X13 be able to find themselves not just a high level of success, but the highest level of success, completely sweeping their defensive half in a spectacular one-sided affair in that entire second point. This was not what I anticipated coming out of that first half.
Chief just put on Twitter at Matt Pogger's thoughts. Oh God, what have we done?
It's not even Matt Bonger. Just FYI, I looked at it too. It's not even Matt Bonger. It's just some random guy named Matt Pogger.
Wait, that's actually an
it's just some random guy. Yeah, it was 0 followers. It's just some random guy.
I gotta follow him on Twitter. I gotta follow him.
Just go ahead and follow Matt Poggers. Not related to us whatsoever. Definitely not Matt Bonger. I mean, if you want to follow anyone on Twitter, it's probably, I
don't post anything on Twitter because I don't want to get canceled. I'd probably rub someone the wrong way, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, you're done for. You're done for. You're getting ratio."
One player, he gets in one cast. It's like that player down tremendously, and they just take it personally. Like
they don't understand that my banter level is just exceeding through the roof, and they're just like, "Oh my God, this guy is literally just making fun of me right now." And it's just like, no, it's not. No. I just have a really bad sense of humor. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. But ultimately, we see X13 win in a pretty lopsided affair, 3-7. Not as bad as the 2-7, if I remember correctly, that we saw in the match prior, but still, I mean, pretty one-sided fights through and through tonight, and I really need to sneeze. I'm just going to go ahead and call that. Don't be shocked if I have to mute for a second, but it was really nice to see X13 come into their own and find a massive level of success on their defense. And this is a defensive-sided map, and they were kind of getting smacked at the beginning. I thought Toys was going to take it in a pretty lopsided affair, but then Toys just got greedy, and X13 kind of adapted. They learned how to play. It's one of the downsides of a best-of-one system is that it gives a little less time to adapt. The team that can adapt better typically loses in a best-of-one system, but we didn't see that here. X13 adapted better, and they won. And that's just how quick they are at adapting. That's just how good they are at adapting.
And for Toys, there were a lot of rounds that could have honestly turned either way. 1v1 up against J-Slime in that position that we were talking about earlier, and he won it based off a drop shot. I mean, when drop shotting, it's a really high risk, high reward kind of situation, and that was not the only time where it was basically a 1v1 or a 1v2. It could have swung either way, but just some minor mistakes that happened. Oh, producer heads up.
There is a game after this, is what he's getting at. We can't really hear him right now. You keep talking about
I
your
know.
point. Maybe the producer will type it instead, so we
Yeah,
know.
yeah, you know, maybe he'll just turn us off completely or something. I don't know. I'm
Maybe
not at
he'll
liberty to
just
decide.
kick
So
us
he's
out.
like, yeah, we're done. We gotta cut. We gotta cut. But yeah, I think it could have went a little bit closer to 3-7. It just so happened that there were just some minor mistakes that turned into much bigger issues for Toys. But they definitely had a lot of really strong rounds in that game, 110%. But X13 just had stronger rounds. That's the best way I can put this one. It wasn't like a clean sweep on the last matchup where Prevail literally just mopped the floor. No, there were a lot of great tries on both sides, but only X13 really got the cream of the crop in that position. But since our producer wants us to be getting going soon, as we have another matchup involving Wichita Wolves at 8 o'clock, so right around the corner, we'll
For
end
Contenders
this off
League.
shortly.
Yeah, Contenders League of Legends for the
Yeah,
UPL, Wichita Wolves versus AOE Esports.
yeah.
So y'all
So you
stay
won't be
tuned for
seeing
that.
us.
If you like League, I will not be here. I literally only know 3 things about League. 1, that it's a MOBA. 2, that it's really dark. And then 3, that I can't play it. So, so it's the one game I'll probably never delve into casting just because I am too small brain to do it, too smooth across the board. But my name's been Infernosis, joined here by fellow of always and forever, always my go-to caster duo. But
Yeah.
we will see you guys in the next one. Make sure to stay tuned for some more UPL action.